What's up, YouTube? It's your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to show you this section of my collection. Let's get it. Hope everybody out there is doing well and staying safe. I decided to take the weekend off. I actually broke my streak somewhere around like 150 to 160 days in a row. I uploaded a video. But I decided I need to break that streak before it got out of hand, and I would never be able to break it. So, here we are. Let's get to it. First up today, we have Daybreakers with Ethan Hawke. Apparently, I paid $15 for that at Best Buy when it came out. Why ain't that show? I've never seen this. Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe. I remember wanting to see this movie when it first came out. I was actually kind of anxious to see it, and I bought it right after it came out. And somehow I've managed to never watch this movie. Two-time Academy Award nominee Ethan Hawke plays Edward Dalton, a researcher in the year 2019, when an unknown plague has transformed the world's population into vampires. Well, now we're in 2020 and it's transformed the world into something, but we're not vampires. Somehow I think sometimes people may be worse. As the human population nears extinction, vampires must capture and farm every remaining human or find a blood substitute before time runs out. However, a covert group of vampires makes a remarkable discovery, one which has the power to save the human race. I really wish that somebody would figure out a way to actually save the human race. So that actually does sound pretty interesting. Maybe I'll pull this thing and give it a watch. Alright, next up is The Day. This was actually a WWE movie, and it was actually a pretty good movie, too. Let's see. The Day is one of the most effective horror movies made in years. I think I remember this being like a survival thing. It was like a post-apocalyptic thing, maybe. But yeah, it was actually a pretty good flick. Check it out sometime, The Day. Alright, next up is my favorite zombie movie in the history of zombie movies, Day of the Dead. I want to get the Scream Factory edition of this, which I just haven't pulled the trigger on. I'm actually planning on going out shopping tomorrow, and I'm going to see if they have the Scream Factory of this. I keep forgetting to order it. I wanted to order this a couple of months ago when we were all receiving those beautiful stimulus checks, and I forgot to order the thing. So, I'm going to check to see if they have the copy physically in the store tomorrow that I go to, and if they don't, maybe I'll order that thing. Alright, next up is the remake of Day of the Dead, which is absolute garbage. Anybody out there who is watching this video that has not seen this, don't waste your time. It's absolutely terrible. It's quite disturbing. Nick Cannon is in it. So that tells you enough. That dude wears a turban on television, hosting a show where there's like Muppets singing. So yeah, that tells you the level of talent we have in this movie. That movie sucks. Alright, and here's something we have. Day of the Dead 2, Contagion. I have not watched this yet, and I did not watch this yet as a direct result of how bad this movie sucked. I'm actually kind of surprised I even bought this. Part prequel, part sequel, and total gut-ripping, gore-spewing homage to the original. Pennsylvania, 1968, at the Ravenside military installation, something has gone horribly wrong. A replicating virus has been discovered that causes the dead to rise and feed upon the flesh of the living. As the carnage escalates, a top-secret attack is ordered. The army, though they had... Well, what is this? I don't like the way that's written. The army, though they had the outbreak contained... Thought that they had... There you go. Maybe if I read the words correctly, it would come out better. The army thought that they had the outbreak contained. They were wrong. 37 years later, the site of the original outbreak is now a psychiatric hospital. Oh, there goes that. It sounded like it was a good movie until that part. But when the strange canister is under... There's Return of the Living Dead. I'm not even going to finish reading this. Alright, next up is Day of the Dead Bloodline. I'm pretty sure I watched this, and I'm pretty sure that this was pretty terrible. Fear goes viral in this terrifying retelling of a George Romero zombie horror classic. 5 years after an epidemic nearly wiped out the world's population, Dr. Zoe Parker lives in an underground bunker among a small group of military personnel and survivalists, working on a cure while fighting armies of the undead. When a dangerous patient from Zoe's past infiltrates the bunker, he just might hold the key to saving humanity or end it. I think I saw this, and I think that I really strongly dislike this. It's almost like there's a character, if this is what I think it is, this character in here is supposed to be Bub, and it looks pretty silly. It doesn't look nearly as awesome as the original Bub. It's kind of a retelling of that story, the original George Romero movie, but it's not even nearly close to as good as that one was. That's a movie that should never, they should not even bothered making that. Alright, now we have Daywatch Unrated. Or I have to assume it's just called Daywatch, and this is the unrated version. I don't know anything about this movie at all. I don't even remember buying this movie. Maybe this is one of the ones that I picked up at Dollar General. I bet you it is. Maybe that's why I don't remember it. Only one thing stands between peace and Armageddon. The supernatural agents of Daywatch, who fight to control the armies of light and darkness. When the son of a senior Daywatch officer turns to the darkness, forces beyond the imagination are unleashed, and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. That kind of looks almost like a video game movie to me, which usually does not turn out good. Alright, now we actually have something I have seen that's really good. The Dead. And The Dead 2. These movies are both really, really, really good. Very slow burn movies. One takes place in the desert. Another takes place in India. Very, very well made movies. There are not a lot of characters in these movies, but the ones who are in the movies are very well built. Very slow burn. Very, very awesome movies. Check out The Day and The Day 2. Or excuse me, The Day. Lord. The Dead and The Dead 2. If you get a chance to see these movies, check them out. I never hear anybody talking about these movies, and that's fascinating to me. I thought they were fantastic. Two of the better zombie movies made in the last decade. Easily, I would say. Alright, next up was Dead Above Ground. This is clearly one of the movies I bought from that video store that was going out of business. I have not watched this movie. Let's see what it says. Jeff Lucas is a troubled outcast at Bay City High School who is relentlessly teased and ridiculed by other students at school, especially after making a horror video instead of a documentary for a communications project. That actually sounds pretty cool. When one of his peers ends... Hold on. When one of his peer clashes ends and a... That's written terrible too. High-speed car chase. When one of his peer clashers ends in a high-speed car chase, he loses... When one of his peer clashes ends in a high-speed car chase, he loses control of his vehicle and plunges off a cliff to his death. A year later, a new boy arrives at Bay City High School who lives in Jeff's old house, convinced that Jeff's spirit is inhabiting the house and determined to get revenge on his tormentors. He tries to warn the others as they begin to disappear one by one. That actually doesn't sound half bad. Maybe I'll check that one out too. Next up is Dead and Breakfast. I tried to watch this movie and I really just didn't care for it at all. It says it's the U.S. answer to Shaun of the Dead. I remember this movie being pretty silly, and I'm pretty positive that I may have made it halfway through that before I turned it off. Alright, here's another one. Bought it at the video store. Dead and Deader. Something tells me I watched this. The best zombie movie so far this year. Alright. A zombie short of 48 Hours meets Dawn of the Dead. So yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if I watched this or not. It obviously didn't leave very much of an impression on me. Right off the bat, I see that Dean Cain is in this. I actually do think I watched this, and I don't think that I liked it very much. Next up is Dead Alive. This is actually a Peter Jackson movie. Very good movie. It's definitely one of the goriest movies that I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of ridiculous. No, it isn't. It's very ridiculous. It's incredibly bloody. It is pretty funny. There's a few scenes in here that are like burned into my memory. There's a scene towards the beginning of the movie where an old lady is like eating pudding, as she is bleeding into her pudding and her ear falls off into her pudding and she eats her own ear. That sticks into my memory, and the one that sticks in everybody's memory who's seen this movie. The one when the guy towards the end of the movie is killing a house full of zombies with a lawnmower. But yeah, this is very early Peter Jackson work. It's really, really good. I think so anyway. Here's another video store going out of business purchase, Dead Birds. I have not watched this movie. When a group of criminals on the run after a bank robbery take refuge in an abandoned house, they have no idea pardon me. They have no idea what evil they have come upon. Isolated and presumed deserted, the house is anything but safe. Sounds good. Richly imagined, genuinely suspenseful supernatural horror movie. Actually, it does sound pretty good. I'm telling you, one of these days I'm going to watch these. Come October, I'm going to be off of work for 5 months, and I'm going to sit down and just start plowing through horror movies. Here's one that I have not watched, that I've heard was fantastic, so I have no reason for me to have not watched this movie. Dead Girl. I heard this was really, really good, and I have not watched this yet. Sure to be one of the most talked about films of the year, Don't Say I Didn't Warn You, and immediate indie classic. There's a whole lot of text on the back of this that I don't feel like reading. It's from the producer of Hellraiser and Heathers. Interesting. Alright. What else? Alright, now this one actually is a video game movie. And I watched this when it came out with, I don't remember if my son watched this movie with me or not. It's exactly what you expect it to be. Dead Rising is a video game series that is based around zombies. The original game is very reminiscent of Dawn of the Dead. It takes place inside of a mall. There were 3 more games made to make a total of 4 games. I've played all 4 of them. 3 out of the 4 are pretty good. All 3 of them are better, or excuse me, all 4 of them are better than this movie. The movie was okay, but that's as far as that goes, and that's probably even a stretch. Alright, next up is Dead Silence. This is one that I probably should have seen. I think I may have seen, but I'm not absolutely sure. And if I have seen it, it's been years, and I know that I've never watched this DVD since I bought it. I bought this DVD somewhat recently. More gruesome and horrifying than anything seen in theaters. Dare to unlock the deadly curse of Mary Shaw. From the writers and directors of Saw comes a new thriller excuse me, of relentless terror. Ever since Mary Shaw was hunted down and killed, the small town of Raven Fair has been haunted by horrific deaths. When a local's wife is brutally murdered, he returns home to unravel the terrifying legend of Mary Shaw and the reason why when you see her you should never ever scream. I'm not sure if I saw this or not. I want to say that I have, but I'm not positive. It sounds really good. It was made by the people who made Saw, which I love. So everything about this, it sounds like a good movie, made by people who make good movies. One of these days I need to watch that one too. Alright, and the last 2, pardon me, are Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2. These were both really good movies. I enjoyed these quite a bit. Who doesn't enjoy zombie Nazis? Because there's tons of those out there. One of the 25 best zombie movies of all time. There is a storm of scary fun to be had in this splatterfest. Yeah, Dead Snow was cool. And I remember watching Dead Snow, Red vs. Dead. That's the name of the sequel. I enjoyed this movie, but I don't believe that I enjoyed it as much as the first one. I haven't seen this one since it came out. It was like right after it came out, I bought this and watched it. Genuinely funny, bigger and badder, a blast. Martin hasn't had the best vacation. He accidentally killed his girlfriend with an axe. He cut his own arm off with a chainsaw. All of his friends still got devoured by a battalion of Nazi zombies. This morning he woke up in the hospital bed with a new arm, but it's a super-powered zombie arm that wants to kill him and anything else it can reach. Martin's pissed, and with the help of his new zombie squad pals, he's going to deliver some payback to Colonel Herzog and his precious Nazi gold by raising an undead army of his own. It sounds kind of ridiculous. No doubt whatsoever that it is ridiculous. But I remember that movie being entertaining. I just can't clear my throat. Sorry. Hopefully that's better. Now I can speak. And now I'm done. So that's it for this week's video. If you guys want me to watch and or review any of those movies, leave me some comments down below. And I'm sure I'll respond to you and we'll talk about it. If you like this video, I still can't clear my throat. Excuse me, I'm sorry. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you have been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.